But what is the next step for us? What are we called to do? What am I called personally to do? The goal in time is to give these student leaders, because they've seen it modeled and taught, small groups. The goal is in time, in 6 months, for them to not just take their student group of 5, but then to find their one, maybe 2, but certainly one, and say, I'm going deeper with that person. I want to go deeper with that person based upon the model that we see with Christ and the disciples in the New Testament. And the reason why we want to do that is we want to be faithful to Scripture and what Christ has called us to do. But here is my charge to you, and here is my heart. Here is what this training, here is what this aspect of our ministry is, and here's what I'm asking of you. In order for our students to do that in 6 months, they're going to need to see it modeled just the same. They need to see it from us as disciples, and I include myself in this. Our hope is that over the next 6 months, as we roll into the fall, when we try to get our students to engage in a one-on-one discipleship, that they will have seen it because we're doing it with them, that we are fleshing it out. And so what I'm asking in our charge is that we would, over the next 6 months, and in the next session we'll kind of talk specifically what we're looking for in the short term, but that we would choose a student, one student, potentially more, potentially 2, but that would be the most. 3 would probably the max. I don't see how 3 could be effective. Of going in further intentional discipleship with one student. And so we're going to outline a little bit of what that looks like, but I just want to give you 3 pieces right now to give you the why and what we're doing and the purpose behind it. And so one of the books that I've been reading, The Lost Art of Disciple Making, this is a book that Pastor Dale gave me as he's been discipling me and Steve Goldberg. And so it's all about what we're trying to implement. So it's been very timely, very pertinent. So very thankful to Daryl for that. But specifically, when talking about making disciples, one-on-one intentional discipleship, there is a lot of stuff out there, a lot of research, a lot of techniques, tools, but why are we doing this? Why are we wondering, asking for you guys to do this? And he kind of boiled it down to 3 things as he looked at Jesus Christ, as he looked at Christ moving into this direction of discipleship. When we see him on the cross, he says, tetelestai, which is, it is finished. Okay, so we know that. And what he means by it is finished is the act of redemption was completed. His work was done. But he also says, I have finished the work that you gave me to do. He says, I have finished the work that you gave me to do. And he says that, Christ says it on the cross, before he actually says it is finished, the act of redemption. So what was his work that was completed even before he actually sacrificed his life? And so the author, and what we see from Scripture, this was kind of a revelation for me, was that his ministry, his work, the purpose why he was there was finished. His purpose was the disciples. His purpose was setting them up because he was getting ready to die, get resurrected, finish the work of completion, go back up into heaven, and his disciples were going to be the ones that were going to go, and they were going to be the ones that were going to do. His ministry was training those 12 because those 12 were going to go and change the world, and we see the fruits of their labor. So in a sense, while Jesus' ministry touched thousands upon thousands, we think of the big miracles where he fed the 4,000, 5,000. His ministry touched thousands. He healed. He did all these active things, but his purpose, to an extent, was to train disciples to go and do the work of the cross, which was the church. That's us. Like, we're here to do the same thing. And if that's how Jesus viewed it, we need to do the same thing as far as how we train our students. And you guys have been training them through helping on Wednesdays, through training and teaching small groups on Sunday morning. But there's another step, and this is what we're calling one-on-one discipleship. A student. Who are you thinking? What's the purpose and why? So I want to give you 3 things to help you kind of get going on that. And we kind of want to use these 3 things as the importance of it. And there's 3 principles they talked about that Jesus went through. And I want you to think about that moving forward as we're going to ask you guys to put down names. Who do you want to disciple? The first thing, principle of selection. The principle of selection when talking about discipleship and disciple making is that Jesus didn't just flippantly choose 12, right? He knew who they were. It's not just because he knew who they were because he's Jesus. He had spent time in Galilee. He had spent time, he had some interaction with these guys. Some of the disciples had actually already been followers before. He knew them, and he was calling them for a specific purpose. He was selecting the right ones, and he had a very diverse, unique group. He had Simon the Zealot, who was very much against overthrowing the Roman Empire. He also had Matthew the tax collector, who was this corrupt worker of the Roman Empire. So we had this broad array of guys, but he was selecting them purposefully because he knew the work that he had for them to do. One of the things the point makes is that it's very easy sometimes for us to select and choose those that we find it most easy, but Jesus had some roughnecks around him. I mean, he had some crazies. And so it's also valuable for us to choose the one that maybe some wouldn't choose. And so be thinking about that. But Jesus was very selective in who he chose. Not just selective in that they were the right type of person, but someone that he was confident they could go and replicate, that he could go and do. It's valuable for us to train someone that we know the time and investment as best as we can, that we feel faithful, that they will then go and do the same thing further. It would be terrible to be doing this type of disciple making in someone's life, and then they just totally walk away from the faith. Now, we're not saying don't reach out, but we're saying when you think about someone that you're ready to disciple, someone who can go and be active and do, man, that's what we're looking for. Second is the principle of association. He discipled his disciples by being in their life, by being associated with them. Doing life with them is the term that we hear often. But that's what he did. And that's what we're looking for me. I need to do that. Also from you guys, the principle of association, doing life with our students. We do it here at church. We rub shoulders with them on Wednesdays and Sundays, and that's good. We have different events, Hunger Games, camps, those type of things. And we create bonds through that association. But we can do more. Can't we do more? Can't we be more involved in their life? The beauty of technology is that we can be pretty involved and not necessarily have to be at every game, be at every sporting event, be at every rehearsal. I'm trying to think of the musical word, like when they do, their final singing and stuff. I don't even know. Not my world. That's why I said game. Nonetheless, we're not going to be able to be at all those things, but we can still be connected. And so when we're here, when we're with them, are we associated with them? Are we doing life with them? Are we a part of their lives? Jesus was invested in their lives. I mean, he was invested in their lives. So do we do that? Are we serving them? He was modeling them what it looks like by being associated with them in life because he knew he was getting ready to leave. And when he left, they had a working example of what it was. Do we associate ourselves in that same manner? And then the third principle is the principle of instruction. Jesus didn't just do life with them and show them what it is, right? So he selected the right crew that he wanted. He associated himself with them, and he lived life with them, but he also taught them. He also instructed them. And you guys do that. We do that on Sunday mornings. We do that on Wednesdays. And you guys are going to help instruct our student leaders. But we want to make sure that there is also time where we really do give you guys a chance to do that. Certainly, small group leaders, you're kind of already doing that, but we want to do that in a specific one-on-one setting. And so this third one is probably something we're already doing, and we have an element of these other two in place. Your students have been selected for you, so there's selection, and you do associate with them at some level, so there's association. But how can we get even more narrow? How can we get even more fine-tuned? How can we go even deeper with these elements? And because of these three aspects, we're going to take them and move forward into a specific plan. We want to give you guys a track to run off of. And so I would ask that you would kind of move through to the second part of this training so that you can see exactly what that plan is. This, more so the groundwork and the why, the next session, telling you what it is, what we're looking for, some tips, some pointers, a little bit more practical. But we want you to understand this is our heartbeat because we want to reach these students. And we know that students floundering on their own, this happened last night at the Hunger Games. We had a girl, Jasmine Lozado. She's somewhat connected. I recognize the face. I remember hearing her name before, and she comes some on Wednesdays, and that's it. She had a bit of a health issue at the end of the night. Everything's fine. She has a bit of a heart thing, and so she isn't fed and a lot of water. If she starts running, she gets real shaky, real weak. And so she had an episode, followed up with it and stuff. But through this, it ended up, took us to the hospital. She had a bit of an anxiety attack. Again, totally fine. She's okay. She just kind of bottomed out, and her body helped her recover. But the only reason why I know her name for sure, the only reason why I know what grade she's in and some of these other elements is because some of our adult leaders saw that she was shaking and that something was wrong. And that's what triggered me getting to know her. Like, that's how I have her number now. Like, that's how, I've reached out to that group of students that she was with, that I was working with through this event. Man, it's probably not supposed to be like that. How often do I think in my ministry here where I hear of a student struggling with this has happened, it's so reactive, similar to last night. Man, you're hurt, you're struggling, you're shaking. Hey, what do I need to do? And now it's like, how do I set these things right? But that's the only reason why I know who her mom is. It's the only reason why I have her number and her friend's number. Like, I need to do better. And we want to be proactive. And we want to, as best as we can, we're not going to reach every single student in one-on-one. We don't have that many adults. But we can start to model this. And if we're modeling this with our students, they will start doing it with the students that they've been given. That's a whole lot better than the zero that I've been doing now. And I think that's a track that we can run on to do some really, really cool things. So I'm thankful for you guys. Let's go ahead and go to the next portion of this training and get a little bit more specific and practical on how we can do